Lost two people already.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, Charlotte, North Carolina, what is going on? We hope you are doing well. Uh, Go ahead, give this video a share. We're going to get started here in just a moment. We've got to get the preliminaries and the introductions out of the way. My name is ADDUL Ali. I'm the host of the Urban Conservative. We are a media platform, fast growing. You can visit tuconservative.com to find out more about me and what we do. I have the distinct honor and pleasure of kind of being your host and mediator for tonight's virtual town hall. We want you all to jump in, be a part of the conversation. There is going to be a chat. We'll take questions from that when it comes up. So we want you to definitely share this with your friends, your family members that live in Charlotte, North Carolina, and more specifically in District 3 in Charlotte, North Carolina, because that is what it is about tonight, ladies and gentlemen. We are going to be talking about Charlotte's upcoming city council race, District 3 most specifically. And we are joined by James Bowers, who is the candidate for Charlotte City Council District 3. This is your platform. I would say welcome to the Urban Conservative. It's such a force of habit for me to not do that, Brother James. But good evening, my brother. How is everything?
Everything is well. Everything is well. I'm excited about this evening because I can get a chance to speak to the people directly. Those that call in or rather text in and ask questions, they can actually get it from the proverbial horse's mouth.
Indeed.
I'd rather them ask me the question so that they can know where I'm at in it rather than someone else setting the stage for me.
Indeed. So, ladies and gentlemen, you heard it directly from the proverbial horse's mouth. Get in the comment section. We're going to talk a lot about economics, public safety, housing, and some things that are going on in Charlotte. But I think for the people that are jumping in, those who may not know who you are, it's important for us to kind of start at the beginning. So tell us a little bit about your background and what you feel specifically qualifies you to be on the Charlotte City Council.
Well, thank you for that. First of all, I've lived in Charlotte for almost 35 years, a little over 35 years. And, I've seen where Charlotte has began as a real country town city where people could, leave their doors unlocked. The children could play outside for a good periods of time, and the neighborhood would feel safe. But that's changed over time, especially where it relates to how city council has made decisions about the safety of the city, the economic development of the city, and basically what direction the city is going. That's one of the primary reasons I entered the race, because I love Charlotte. It's been my home. I had a family here. It's been a real blessing for me, and I want to give back to it. And as far as being qualified, everyone's qualified who's a citizen to run for office. My qualifications stem from not only my love for Charlotte, but the sacrifices I made to stay in Charlotte. Even back in the when I first moved to Charlotte, we had something called Hugo. We got through that. We got through that together, and that's something that I'll remember forever. And I hope that many of those that are listening now and are a part of Charlotte during the time I've been here know that there are certain struggles that you go through, that whether you identify with a person. And I think that based on some of the things that I've done in the mortgage industry and finance, closing millions of dollars of loans, being able to make decisions that are related to what the individual needs are, that really culminates into a leadership role that I think that I hold.
Okay, so I'm gonna push a little bit because I'm a big transparency fan. Part of what we do at the Urban Conservative is we like to make sure folks are fully educated. But one of the things you touched on, and I wanted to kind of jump into this a little bit more, is your understanding of the mortgage industry. From what I can tell, you spent, looking at your bio, you spent a lot of time in the mortgage and finance manager side of things. And looking at the economics of Charlotte, what do you see right now that is, one of the biggest things on the economic front in Charlotte that you would want to address as a city council person?
Well, I'd like to be able to help people to not only navigate through all of the nuances of finding a job, but also sustain it. Sustainability is important. When they come up with the term affordable housing, it incorporates a lot than just financing. It's incorporating being able to put food on the table, uh, and get a job and be able to get to that job successfully. All these things are important. We one of the things that on the plate is to help with economic development in the area, and that's not just getting jobs, but well-paying jobs. We in District Three, rather, we have the Charlotte Douglas Airport. I'm hoping to connect with that company to help
Mhm.
the students, not before they graduate, but even before they graduate, to get in a rhythm of work. One of the things that's difficult for children as they get older is
Mhm.
if they've never had a job and had responsibility, it becomes strange to them, even going to college, knowing that college is right for you. These are some of the things that are dear to my heart to help the children out, because the children are the future. And we must be able to help them prepare for that role and that responsibility. But even in the interim, we've got to help the
Mhm.
people here in Charlotte with the affordable housing piece. We have to make it affordable for people to own their own homes. And owning their own homes builds legacies. And those
Right.
legacies builds the foundation of what cities are made of. And that's where I want to be a part of that.
So what one of the things, I moved to Charlotte recently. I'm now a registered, living and loving in Charlotte. And one of the that things that I heard about here was that, the ability for people to own a home. There's not a lot of single family housing being built here. It's a lot of apartments, a lot of high rise, a lot of condos, a lot of like multifamily housing going up. What are your thoughts on Charlotte not really being a place for upward economic mobility, which the principal vehicle typically is home ownership,
Mhm.
a home you inherit or either purchase. What are your thoughts about that here specifically in Charlotte? And what are some things you think you can do as a city council person to bring light to the fact that home ownership, the detriment of us not having that is, not seeing this upward economic mobility here?
Yeah, one of the first things that I'm going to be doing as a city council person is setting the standard and standing my ground in some of the decisions that have been made in the past. We have to give the Charlotte residents, the foundation of what Charlotte has been and will become,
Hmm.
opportunities, and this comes with letting them know the kind of decisions we're making. Now, there's nothing wrong with investment in the city, but it has to be investment that makes sense. Just recently, City Council had voted on adding another multifamily unit in District 3. We seem to be overrun with that. It's causing congestion in neighborhoods. Uh, uh, Values on properties are going up. I was speaking with one of the residents in District 3 just the other day, and
Hmm.
she said that her tax value last year was 98,000, but now
Hmm.
it's gone up to over a quarter of a million. And so now the cost of the living has really skyrocketed in Charlotte. And based on how city council are making their decisions, there's nothing stopping them. And so, that's one of the reasons I'm wanting to get involved, is just to put a stop to it, because if it walks like a duck, quacks like a duck, smells like a duck, it's a duck. And we need to stop this right now.
Right. Ladies and gentlemen, if you are just joining us, I see some more people jumping in. We are talking with James Bowers, candidate for Charlotte City Council District 3. This is an open conversation, virtual town hall. So please throw your questions in the chat. Give this video a share so that we can get this shared out to more people in District 3. One of the things, and I was looking at your platform information earlier, and I wanted, this is the proverbial elephant in the room. And I'm going to share my screen here because this is something I think everybody in Charlotte is concerned about, has an issue with. And let me figure out how to do this. There we go. Share screen. And there we go. So I've got my screen up, and this is a recent report. It came out in July of this year. Crime is up 11%, led by juvenile car thefts. And this is coming from police in Charlotte. Violent crime is down in Charlotte, but the overall crime rate for the past few months is up by 11%. We're talking about property crimes, car thefts, things like that. There was the first 6 months of this year is what I wanted to point you to, is that there's more homicides, 45 in 2023. We're seeing this crime, and there's a sentiment by some folks on city council that the idea is to defund the police. The idea is to reimagine, revision, and there's I guess this thing in Charlotte, the urban center of it, that somehow the police are to blame. What are your thoughts when you see these statistics? And we know, 45 homicides, more than that right now, because this was in July. And you see these crime numbers going up in Charlotte, but you hear people say we need to defund the police. What are your thoughts about that? And what on your platform from city council will you do to try to fight this crime here in Charlotte?
Well, that's a really, really good question and really deep question. Another one of the reasons that I decided to run was I kept hearing where, it's important to in these past city council that the police department and law enforcement, were part of the problem. Well, anybody can say there's a problem when they want to change something. But one thing that I found out is what's safe in the neighborhood. When I've talked to people in the neighborhood, for example, I talked with one lady in the neighborhood, and she said her street is like a racetrack. But what's going to stop that? Defunding the police? Absolutely not.
Mm.
What's going to help with that resident who's aged and can't get out when they call for help from law enforcement and no one comes for hours? What's going to do that? Defunding the police? No. What we need to do is to add more law enforcement so that we can respond to the crime in the area, and that will take it down, I believe, a tremendous amount, simply because people now are involved with the law enforcement. I think law enforcement are kind of painted with a broad stroke there, that as though all of them are like that. In everything there are, as they used to say, bad apples.
Right.
But you don't throw out the whole barrel for one apple.
That's right.
And so one of the things that I hope to do, as I've said in a previous interview, is to suggest perhaps to link together local law enforcement and county law enforcement. The concern that I have is that there's not enough police officers. Charlotte has about 1 million people, and we have less than 1,500 police officers. The numbers just don't work. When you call on the emergency line, you might get someone, but you're not getting anyone to be there. So this has to stop. That's another one of the things that I'll stand strong on. We must not only increase the number of law enforcement, we must pay them, and we also must establish the relationships with those that are in leadership above them. One of the key things, that the reasons that I've heard through police officers themselves that they're leaving Charlotte is because they don't have or feel as though that the leadership backs them up. And that relates to city council, especially. This type of wrong-headed communication doesn't create the connection not only with and by doing that, by filtering down through the people, we then create more synergy with the law enforcement and with city council above, because it's important that the people know and feel as though that city council is being transparent with what they believe, with what their leadership strategies are, and more importantly, the people want to be able to connect with their city council people. That's one of the things I'm hoping to do, is create transparency, more transparency. In the last few cycles, Charlotte has lost its identity as it relates to the family being able to be fruitful and productive, creating wealth over time. That's something
Mhm.
that I'm against. You know, it's nothing wrong with building multifamily units. You know, even going to whether you're, you know, deciding whether you're going to go to college or not. Those are a part of
Right,
the things that help build a neighborhood, help build a city. Some
right.
children need uh, to find themselves, and perhaps that's in college, and perhaps it's not. But we have to be able to create sustainable ideas and platforms that help them get to the next level.
Excellent. Shouts out to Miss Deborah E. Wilson. I see we got our first question of the evening. James, what are your thoughts on promoting small business development within District 3? Let's take a minute to answer that one.
Well, absolutely. You know, small business feeds small areas, in this case, districts. Not only does it feed small areas, there's that relationship that's built. So, you know, we need to make sure that those connections with small businesses, as well as those who live in District 3, are able to start small businesses. And this comes through, as we used to use the term, incubators and other platforms that offer perhaps even grants or even grant writing for those small businesses. Because many of them just want to know how. They have
Mm,
the desire, they have the expertise, but they don't have the knowledge, nor the, you know, the, if I can use this, the backstage things that are needed to support a business. All those things are
mm,
important, and we have to do it. Even in our area, we have just at Kings Ridge Drive and Old Pineville, we have a large commercial development there that hoping to engage in creating a space for small businesses. We have to be open to that and to understand that that's one of the foundations that help the smaller parts of a city grow into be a great, great city.
excellent. Well, one of the things I think is important for people to understand, and I think that this is looking at Charlotte. One of the things you'll notice if you've taken a look at the numbers is that the majority of businesses that are owned in Charlotte are what we call micro businesses. So they're generating, $200,000 or less a year. And I like the idea of those incubators. What do you think Charlotte as a city can do to bring different industries here? Because we're starting to see a lot of our restaurants close, and you have some things opening up. But what do you think Charlotte can do to bring some different industry here, technology and other things?
Well, you know, there are some things that are on the table to bring to Charlotte as far as large businesses and new businesses and headquarters. You know, but one of the sustainable things is to create an environment for those that are here to make sure that they are the ones that are here because there are businesses that come and go. But if you are a resident of District 3 and you have a desire to start a business, I believe that there needs to be the platforms there that directly connect with them. Not just for the first year or second. I think it needs to be a 5 year plan because generally that's how most businesses operate. They operate under 5 year plans. So I would hope to help initiate and start a program where we can help small businesses that are in the area become more sustainable. Now, that doesn't take our eyes off of inviting companies uh, from near and far to come to the community, but we can't forget about the community for the sake of inviting someone to our home. That's almost like taking care of your visitor more so than your children. So
Right.
we're going to focus on in our platform to be more transparent and understanding that we have to take care of our neighborhoods. We have to secure the neighborhoods. We have to make sure that they're safe, and we have to provide direction to them so that they'll know that their city council is working for them and not against them.
Excellent. Ladies and gentlemen, we are talking with James Bauer, candidate for Charlotte City Council District 3. Go ahead, give it a like, give it a share, give the video a subscribe. Wilfred Ruck has a question for you. Give an example of how you will be transparent, Brother James.
Well, good question. The thing that I hope to do as a city councilman is to have a forum where I can invite all of the homeowner associations on perhaps a quarterly basis to communicate with me about some of the decisions we've made and the future of the county.
Mhm.
I personally believe that the elected official who has been elected out of that district should be more prominent in the decisions as it relates to uh, the district.
Right.
There are other areas that are perhaps uh, overlapping as well as other districts, but we've got to stay in our district and stay connected with the people and to let them know and feel as though that their city council person is actually responding to and reflecting their thoughts, their hopes, and their desires for the community.
Excellent. Thank you for the question, Wilfred. Well, one of the other things that comes up a lot of times when people talk about Charlotte is the conditions of the roads, and knowing that some of this is Charlotte, knowing that some of this is DOT. What do you do to push the envelope to deal with some of this congestion, this traffic, and the condition of roads here? What are your thoughts on that? Because that's something that I know impacts not just your district but the entire city.